This is the all-new 7th generation 2026 Subaru Outback. In fact, I just drove this car from the National Press Launch in Arizona all the way home here to Washington State. It was an 1,800-mile epic journey, and I'll have a full video on that in the coming weeks. Today, we're going to check out the features of this 2026 Touring Edition, and then we're going to put it to the test on our off-road courses. Let's get this started. The new Outback is available with two different powertrains, a 2.4-liter turbo boxer engine making a peak 260 horsepower, or what we have here, the naturally aspirated 2.5-liter four-cylinder boxer. This is good for up to 180 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. Both powertrains come standard with a continuously variable transmission connected to Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive. This is enhanced with the X-Mode off-road traction system. Note that this only has single-mode X-Mode. Dual X-Mode is reserved for the upcoming wilderness trim, which we will be testing in the coming months. Let's keep in mind this is the base engine. It's for economy. It gets 31 miles to the gallon on the highway. That's not bad for the class. But how is it with a 0 to 60? Are we going to be kicking ourselves for picking the economy engine option? Let's test. Now I'm going to turn off auto start stop, simple button right there, which is nice. Okay, complete stop. I'm just going to mosh it. 3, 2, 1, punch it. Nice little get up and go there. 30 and 60. 8.18 seconds. That's actually surprisingly quick. Like, that's only a half second off of the Crosstrek, which has the same motor. In addition to making it a little bit boxier and a little bit more SUV-like, Subaru also focused on improving the NVH, the noise, vibration, harshness. And I think they were quite successful. The cabin here is really nice and quiet. It's comfortable. Now, obviously, we have a lot of new tech going on here. We have the new infotainment screen, which is just really, really nice. I feel like they are missing some features, though. Like, we don't have the tilt and yaw data that we used to have on the display, but I would trade that information for a system that has a nicer screen and is way more responsive any day of the week. You can also command the vehicle using voice, so let's give that a try. Turn on steering wheel heat.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Understand.
Turn seat coolers on.
Driver's ventilated seat set too high.
Okay, so it can do a lot of stuff, but it is obviously limited to a degree. Now, speaking of steering wheel warmer, this does have one, and it does warm the sides. It does not warm the top. So if you really drive like this and you're in a cold climate, yeah, the steering wheel warmer won't do anything for you. But it does get the sides nice and toasty. Like all Subarus, this has the adaptive cruise control system. But unlike most other Subarus, this one also has a special hands-free adaptive cruise control system. But the one thing about hands-free adaptive cruise control is it only works on geofenced highways. I am not even close to a geofenced highway right now. So it defaults to the standard adaptive cruise, and it is quite good. It's using Subaru's EyeSight system. And it's been optimized in this one, not only to have better recognition of stuff, but also it has a wider view, which is nice. And then, of course, we do have the hands-on adaptive cruise. Now, I'm going to take my hands off just to show you what it can do, but it does a really good job of tracing right down the middle of the lane. And, of course, it'll tell me to put my hands back on because we're not in an approved highway. Going around the corner, you can see that it's doing a really good job of tracing down the middle, eventually telling me to put my hands back on the wheel. Now, this system isn't like a autonomous mode. It's not a full autonomous. It's pretty basic, but on highways and stuff, if you want to use the hands-free or even the hands-on, it does a really good job of cutting down fatigue on longer drives. Something important to note about the hands-free system, vehicles that are hitting dealers right now, which this is currently November 2025, don't actually have that feature enabled. You have to get a reflash from the dealer once that system is ready to go prime time. They're expecting that Touring and Touring XT trims, which have the hands-free mode, those will probably be able to take into your dealer to get them enabled probably in the next 2 to 3 months. And there is no additional subscription fees. The hands-on ADAS system as well as the hands-free system, all you have to do is update the maps for the hands-free one so that they're current maps. But other than that, it's not a subscription system. And the maps are like an annual update. Obviously, this has a full surround view camera system. And one thing I noticed is that they actually let me turn on my cameras while I'm driving. Not all manufacturers let you do that. Toyota, for one, would never allow this. You can even get the little GTA view. There we go. The tech and the cabin here are a massive upgrade from the previous generation. And the engine, yeah, it's kind of a carryover, though they have tweaked it a little bit here and there. It's not going to set the world on fire with its performance, but I think for anybody who's looking for, a conservative, economical, and still fun to drive car, the 2.5 engine is not bad. Would I personally buy it? Well, probably not, because I'm a huge fan of horsepower. So you might be wondering, how can you tell this is the non-turbo? Like, what's the exterior indicators? There's no badging on the back. Fact is, you can only tell based on the wheels. Yes, the 2.5 liter Touring has 18-inch wheels, and the turbo gets 19-inch wheels. The price of the Outback Touring that we have here, with the only option being the deep emerald green pearl paint, you're looking at $47,240 US, including destination. The Touring Edition is pricey, but it does come fully loaded, with Napa leather interior, heated and ventilated seats, Harman Kardon sound, an all-new 12.1-inch infotainment system, surround view cameras, and the new Highway Hands-Free Assist cruise control system. As for the design of this all-new Outback, it is larger, but not in the way you would expect. It's actually a bit narrower than the outgoing model, and it's a fraction of an inch longer. However, it is 1.4 inches taller. That taller roof, along with some interior design changes, yields 2 more cargo feet of cargo capacity with the second row in place. That's 34.6 cubic feet. Fold it down for 80.5 cubic feet overall. That's 5 more cubic feet than the 2025 model. That makes this new one simply better at carrying stuff in addition to carrying the family. Back here we also get Subaru's new cargo cover design. It's soft fabric and it's actually kind of cool, because you can reconfigure it a number of different ways. Like you could use it for holding smaller objects there, or just take it off altogether. Back here we also get a 12-volt power socket, a number of hangers, and then we also can fold the seats down with easy pull levers. If you are trying to get to your stuff in the back here, they do provide a hanger for the cover, which is nice. Under here we do get a temporary spare tire. I'm curious though, can we fit a full-size spare? Let's go grab one. Oh! Whoa, 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 look at that. It fits, but with a caveat. Yeah, that's not gonna fit, so you'll have to find a new home for the jack. But at this point, you could just put the hard floor back in, boom, there you go, full-size spare, fits. Now it's not gonna fit much else though. We can't go much bigger than, yeah, I don't think you can go really a bigger size. This literally will fit the stock size. Anything bigger, you're gonna have to go with a hitch mount. Let's see if I can sleep in it. Oh yeah, this is excellent. It's a totally flat floor. I'm very well supported. Everything is very solid. And I even get a little light right here for internal illumination. Yeah, I'd totally sleep in this. Now previously, if you wanted to add a tow hitch, the dealer would have to cut a hole in the rear bumper, with varying degrees of success. Well, with this new one, this is actually a removable piece. So if you do option a tow hitch, you don't have to cut it all up. The 2.5 liter here will tow up to 2,700 pounds. If you move up to the turbo, you can tow up to 3,500 pounds. On this one, we have a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated boxer 4-cylinder. Because it is a boxer motor, that means the pistons go side to side instead of this way. It also means that the engine is low in the chassis, which makes for a very low center of gravity. That improves handling, which is a very good thing, of course. Now, as far as owner maintenance, there's a lot of stuff we can do here. Oil filter is readily available right on top. We also have the oil fill. This does take 0W16 oil. And then we also have brake fluid fill, we have washer fluid fill, and then we also have coolant fill down there. Now, there is an air cabin filter, and to change that, we need to go inside. Changing the cabin air filter is just like the previous generation. Put down your bin, got to release the little piston that's on the side, push the sides in to clear the hangers. There you go. Actually, the whole thing just comes off. And then in here, have these little clips. As you can see, we have lots of Arizona dust on it. It's kind of gross. They've also redesigned the roof rack to make it more stout. This will handle up to 800 pounds of static load, and they have a new measurement, lateral load. That means it can take 220 pounds from the side. That's like if you're slinging a hammock between the car and a tree. They've also improved the tie downs. These are easier to get to. They're not quite as tight as they were before. Now let's look inside. This is nice. We got Napa leather on the seats back here because, of course, this is a touring trim and you can get the Napa leather in 2 different colors. This is obviously the brown. Now, back here we get vents, which is great to see. We also have 2 stages of heat on the outboard seats, plus a USB-C and USB-A power socket. That's basically all we get back here other than a little dome light. And actually this header is very interesting. It's textured, and I believe it's actually made with recycled bottles. Okay, that's cool. Now this seat is where I would be seated if I were driving. I'm 6'1", legs torso proportionate. I got lots of room here. Can I tilt the seat back? I see no way of tilting the seat back. Over here we do have fold-down armrests with integrated cup holders. Tons of headroom. This is actually really nice. I see why they raised the roof. It is so much more comfortable in here than it was before. Up front here we have a massive upgrade from the previous generation. Gone is the large vertical display with kind of slow and annoying software, in with an all-new system. Now this isn't just new software and a new screen, it's actually a whole new infrastructure. They're using the latest Snapdragon automotive processor. It has more memory and it just works fantastic. It is so quick. Also on my drive from Arizona to here, very few bugs, although there was one thing, but you'll have to watch that road trip video to learn what that one thing was. Now we can do a lot of stuff with this system. Of course it has navigation built in, XM satellite radio is supported. You also can go in and customize your vehicle setup, which is kind of nice. But if you want to integrate your mobile device, you can do that with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. And you can even make it full screen if you want to kind of just ignore the built-in software, which is really a nice touch. And that brings me to the sponsor of this video, Onyx Off-Road. We love Onyx Off-Road for planning our off-road adventures. Which trails to drive? How hard are they? Are they even open? Onyx Off-Road provides all that information in addition to tools to help plan and organize your next adventure. Have you watched one of our mini road trip videos? We use Onyx Off-Road to plan and navigate every adventure. And right now you can get 20% off your premium or elite membership to Onyx Off-Road with the code DSTV. That's of course an abbreviation for Driving Sports TV. Look for the link in the video description below or click this QR code. And it looks absolutely amazing on this big high-resolution screen. For the rest of this interior, everything is a little bit more horizontal, which is nice. The materials are quite good. And we finally have vents front and center, which I always prefer. And then we even have real buttons and dials for the climate control, which is fantastic to see. Up here, we do have a digital gauge cluster, which has a variety of different views. That also can integrate maps from Apple CarPlay. So if you want to run Apple CarPlay, you can run the overview map here while doing turn-by-turn directions here, or switch it up vice versa. It's a very cool setup. Now, the steering wheel is actually standard Subaru fare. That's one of the things that pretty much looks like a carryover from the previous one. We do have X mode, however, integrated up here in the steering wheel. It's no longer in the software, because of course you don't control the vehicle in the software quite so much as you did before. Now down here, we do have a number of changes. The cup holders have little springy inserts to keep things in their place. You also have a handle cut out if you want to carry a mug. Although these holes are pretty small, I'd be shocked if you had a mug that could fit with a handle that would actually be small enough to put in these holes. We have a lot of physical buttons here to handle the surround view camera system, traction control. They even have a button for auto start stop. If you don't like auto start stop, get in the vehicle, turn it on, hit the button, you're good to go. Like, that's very little input. They do have some little traces of piano black, but it's not in any high touch areas, so that's, I don't think, going to be a big deal. Got a little bin here for a little extra stuff. Got a little 12 volt. Up here we do have a wireless charging pad, but it is the Subaru typical charging pad. I find it doesn't work very well. It just, I think this is a 16 Pro Max with a Apple certified case. Doesn't hold a charge. Basically, it'll charge for about 10 seconds and then it just doesn't want to connect again. So not very useful as far as wireless chargers go. I typically just leave it plugged into the USB socket. So seats, very comfortable. They're trimmed in leather. They are a new design. They have a softer outer surface, which I really like. They cradle me really nicely. They have heating, they have ventilation. They're just really a nice place to be. You can even pull out this leg support. And then of course I also have settings up here for 2 memory positions. Because this is a touring, it does have facial identification, which is used for reminders, such as if you're nodding off or something like that, but that also ties into the hands-free driving mode. Yes, in addition to adaptive cruise control, this also has a hands-free mode that works at speeds up to 85 miles per hour, which is incredible. I did use that on my journey from Arizona back here to Washington quite a lot, and I think you'll want to watch that video when that comes out so you can really get where we really dive deep into how that system works, where it's good, where it's not so good, and when you would probably want to use it, and if it's something that you really want in your next vehicle. Because the hands-free is only available on Touring and Touring XT trims. No other trims. Not on Wilderness, not Unlimited. So, there we go. Sunroof is pretty small for the class, but I think it's good. We also got a sunglass holder up there, and we have a digital mirror with a camera built in. So that's kind of nice. Okay, well, what are we going to do? Well, right now we're going to take this onto our off-road course to see what is it capable of. This is the latest. It is the greatest. Is it still as good as a Subaru should be? Well, we're going to find out right now. This thing's fun. I mean, it is at its heart a rally car. Oh man, Subarus are fun. So we're going to start here with the fun forest, and then we're going to escalate the challenge as we go. I'm going to start here without turning on X mode, and we'll just see how far it goes and what it does without enabling that system. Now we have 8.7 inches of ground clearance here. We have an 18-degree approach angle. I think we'll be fine getting through most of the courses today. This is like best in class in all those categories. Now, before you start getting into like the rugged off-road versions, you know, the specific off-road trims. Oh, this is also a great opportunity to try out the excellent surround view camera system. Let's just do front view with wheel tracks. Now, would I like more data on this? Well, yes, but keep in mind, this is not the off-road focused version of this vehicle. This is just the standard one. And the nice one at that, because it's a touring. Okay, so you can see that we're spinning wheels, not making much progress. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn on X mode, which is now up here. And this only has single mode X mode. The only Outback that's going to have dual mode is the upcoming Wilderness. Now that X mode is enabled, look for the brakes grabbing the wheel that's spinning, which then pushes power back into the system. It also makes throttle a little smoother, a little bit more ease into it. and it optimizes the crawl ratio. Not quite a crawl, but you know, it does what it can with the CVT. Okay, there we go. Up and around. And I'm just going super slow to make sure that we don't, you know, use momentum here. We want the vehicle to do the work. So there we go. See the power shifting around? Good job. Now we're going to go into the dip by the dead stump. The wheel. Go as deep as we can. Always a little more confident when I have a surround view monitor system. And then I'm going to climb out. Yep. X mode does the job. Excellent. Okay, now let's move on to something a little harder. Okay, this is our ridge trail. It's going to take us into the moguls and then out the other side. Recently we did this with the new Crosstrek Hybrid and it got up no problem. So I'm expecting this will do just fine. Although it is a little bit more worn than it's been in the past. So this is what we need to look out for. A big old root. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Now we have the big old root sticking out right up at the top. Gonna have to go super slow on that approach to make sure that we don't crunch the front bumper. I have my surround view on. Let's do front wheel so I can see when I'm on the route there, and make sure X mode is on, and that's basically it. Let's do it. Now I'm just gonna walk up super slow because I don't want to hit that stump or that root and have the system, you know, and crack anything. Oh, walk right over it. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Shift that power to the back. Come on, you got it. Yes. Ha. Nice. Now, a lot of people I know say, well, why don't you just launch up the top? It's two reasons. First off, that root, if we don't have a good enough approach angle, it's going to make some awful noises. But also at the top here, it's only the width of the vehicle. It's kind of hard to tell with the vegetation around here, but it's not a lot of room. One thing I would like to see on this vehicle is a digital gauge cluster option for off-road mode. That would be really cool. If not on this one, at least put it on the wilderness trim. Ooh, little rub. Not too bad though. Navigate around the stump, no problem. See, this is still small enough to be nimble on trails like this, which I love. It's kind of just like a really great size. So much more utility, still not what I would consider a big vehicle. Even though it looks like one on the outside, it just doesn't drive like one. Now this is gonna check out our breakover as we go into this ditch and over it. Ooh, a little rub. Not too bad though. Get lined up for the moguls. You're gonna keep it hard right, really get that lift here as we put our passenger front wheel down into the ditch. Ooh. Look at that wheel spin as we slowly ease forward. And down we go. Easy. X mode does a great job, honestly. Do you need dual X mode? Nice to have, but not really necessary. But then again, you know, dual X mode, the second mode is actually for like mud and sand and things where you really need to spin your wheels a little bit more. And we don't really have that we're playing with today. So do you really need it? I don't know. What kind of surfaces are you going to go into, right? Now we're going to get over a sand slide. Let me change the view a little bit here. Yeah, go as high as we can on that. Now granted, these are not all-terrain tires. These are just your basic all seasons. So yeah, we get a lot of lateral sliding there. Nothing to prevent that. And now we got one more lift. We're probably going to lift that rear. Well, first we're going to lift the passenger side front wheel. And then that rear driver's side wheel as we go into the hole and out. Yeah, no problem at all for this car. Okay, we're not quite done yet though. Let's get over the ridge and then we're gonna wrap this up. Okay, now we got a hole here. I'm gonna try to go wide on it. Which will lift up our passenger rear. Yep, super tilty. We're just gonna let X mode move us through. We're stuffing our nose. Let's not do that. See, 18-degree approach angle is a problem for this specific section of the course. Can I go any wider here? Let's use that camera. There we go. If we go wide enough, we can get through it. A little scraping. Okay, continue out. Come on, lift me through. Just keeping that throttle even and steady. And out we go. Nice. Okay, well, I think that overall, even though this vehicle has fundamentally changed a little bit, making it a little bit taller, kind of makes it more SUV-like, fundamentally, it still drives like an Outback. It has the same skills as an Outback. It just has a nicer interior, like a way nicer interior. And I mean, the camera system, oh, finally, Subaru, thank you. There is the issue of the price. I mean, these are all more expensive now, even though they've added more features for the different trim levels. The fact is that these are more expensive than they've been. I think with this vehicle, Subaru really has elevated what the Outback is. And it's kind of been moving it up market, and I think they did a very successful job here. You actually get quite a lot of car, especially when compared to the competition. I mean, what are you going to compare this to? The Passport, which has definitely a more bland interior, smaller infotainment, not as good of a camera system. In fact, I don't even think you get the same level of equipment for the price with a Passport. But you are looking at this vehicle at being about 47 and change, including destination, and that does put it right into the mid-range of the Passport lineup. On the other side, you know, maybe the new RAV4 would be a competition, but the RAV4 is smaller and it also is less expensive. A really nicely equipped RAV4 for 2026 is going to run probably, it's around $44,000 roughly. So, you know, there's a lot of other vehicles in this class, but I think that this is still very uniquely a Subaru. It does things that some of those other vehicles won't do, can't do, but it also kind of treats you with a level of luxury that you may not have expected from Subaru. Now that I've driven this, I want to see what they're going to do with the Ascent. Now that this vehicle is slightly bigger, is the Ascent going to be bigger still? That'll be interesting. I also expect the Ascent will have this whole new infotainment and digital gauge cluster and basically environment. I don't think the Forester and Crosstrek will get this stuff until the next generation, which I think we're looking at, what, 4, 5, 6 years out, so don't hold your breath on those. Overall, very impressed with this new Outback. I think for a lot of buyers, it really checks a lot of the boxes. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in the Turbo, we also have a review of the Limited XT, which we did down in Arizona on our YouTube channel. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you again right here on the next one.